All right. This is Command Sergeant Major Retired Dave Eustace, and I have the great pleasure to be with Sergeant First Class Ritchie from the Colorado Army National Guard 2020 Chiefs 54 winner. And we're going to talk about how she's been able to be so awesome at recruiting. So before we get to that, if you could just outline kind of your guard recruiting story, how you got to this point.
Okay. So I originally started in the Marine Corps and then came over into the Guard in 2013. Worked for a few different units, and I just came into recruiting actually in 2018. So this is just my third year recruiting. So I've spent a short time in recruiting, kind of, all with Colorado as far as recruiting goes. I've been a part of a couple other Guard states in the past, kind of following my husband around, who's Title 10, but been with Colorado for the past 3 years in recruiting.
What did you do for a unit job?
So when I originally joined the National Guard, my first unit was actually the Warrior Training Center at Fort Benning, an active duty guard unit that just teaches a bunch of courses: Pathfinder, Air Assault, Pre-Ranger, those kind of things. So I was there for almost 2 years. And then I was part of the Washington State Guard, just an soldier out in Seattle, and then came to Fort Carson. When I initially came to Fort Carson, I was part of the Warrior Transition Battalion on Fort Carson as a squad leader, and then decided to come over AGR instead of, hopping around on ADOS tours. So that's how I initially started my recruiting career.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that you were a Marine, because you're always a Marine, I suppose. But in my experience, whether they've been in recruiting or not, Marines never fail at recruiting. So what is the reason for that, do you think?
I won't say I never fail. I mean, there's definitely been times where I've been behind on mission and things like that. But ultimately, I think maybe part of what it is just we never quit. We have that. No matter if I'm behind right now, I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna let that defeat me. I'm not gonna quit, even if I only have 2 weeks left to make mission. I'm gonna do my best to make it in those 2 weeks. If that means I have to work late nights or weekends, that's kind of what you do. Even last year when I was Colorado's Chiefs 54, there was times last year where towards the beginning of the year, I was behind mission, but you just keep plugging away and, ended up exceeding mission by the end of the year.
Yeah, I would have said that too, to not quit and, just keep on grinding.
Right.
Because it will work out. If you talk to enough people, you're going to get enough interviews. And if you interview enough people, you'll get qualified yeses, and
Right.
you'll get enough people to take the maps. So I have a question. It's kind of a tough question to answer because most recruiters just don't want to answer this question. But you've been successful. You're your top recruiter in your state.
Right.
And so from your observations from your peer group and other recruiters you've seen, why are you more successful than other recruiters?
One reason I would say is right when I came into recruiting, actually the very first thing I did when I came into recruiting, I was fortunate enough, there was a female drill sergeant who was ISTing out of the state. And we only had 2 at the time. So they asked me to go to drill sergeant school. I agreed. So that was the very first thing I ever did with recruiting in Colorado. And I've been working at the RSP my entire time in recruiting. It's been very beneficial for me. I'm able to network with recruiters from all over the state because we generally do RSP at one location for the entire state. So that kind of helps me in certain ways. And then also just having that extra face time with our soldiers, to help bring in leads and, make sure they're taken care of and, build those different kind of relationships with recruiters and with the brand new soldiers. That's really helped me, I feel like. And then also, just really making sure that I build relationships and take care of the relationships I build. I was an OCR for a very short period of time, working with a college ROTC program. I still keep in touch with a lot of those cadets and the people that work there. So just really building those relationships that you have and maintaining them, even maybe if that's not your area anymore, or, those kind of things, just really getting the word out for the Guard in a positive way, and maintaining those relationships, I feel like is what's made me successful. Maybe whereas other recruiters will enlist people and then, not do as much of the follow-up or the aftercare and things like that.
Well, it's very interesting because since I started this project, I have interviewed a lot of women recruiters, and that comes up very frequently about taking care of people. And I don't believe that women recruiters have the market cornered on it by any means, but I do think there is a little bit more effort made, I'd say.
Right.
And it obviously pays dividends. So what area in Colorado do you recruit in right now?
I'm in Colorado Springs, so right outside of Fort Carson. And we have the Air Force Academy here as well, a couple of Air Force bases, but I'm in the Colorado Springs area.
Okay. And what has been your approach to develop that area, to get known in that area?
So we do a lot in this area. The Army is well known. The military is well known in this area. We have a few Air Force bases. We also have Fort Carson. So generally people know the military, or they at least know something about it. The Guard is a little less known. So we've really tried to kind of get the Guard's name out there, just as much as active duty or the Air Force, things like that. So we've tried to do a lot of events. We actually have a GuardX coming up next month that we're pretty excited about, that we're going to do. But just kind of making sure that, we get the Guard's name out there in a positive way in our schools. We've partnered with a lot of smaller schools or private schools who've allowed us to come in and talk that, other active duty branches, they kind of ignore because they're smaller schools.
Mm-hmm.
So we really work with those. We also work with our college ROTC program here. It's a pretty, not huge, but a pretty decent sized ROTC program. We take the cadets from that ROTC program into our ROTC programs in the high schools, our JROTCs, and we have them talk about what ROTC is like in college. And then we kind of follow that up with all the benefits that you can get with the Guard, to go into that program. So that's been a big success for us as well.
Good deal. What's interesting is, because I do work with so many states, is if there's an active duty presence, a lot of folks will say, well, it's tougher because we have this active duty presence. And I think it is not true, because, there's people in the community that are tied to that active duty post for sure, but would have an interest of serving locally as well. So.
Right. I definitely think, you definitely run into your legacy kids where, mom and dad are, I served in the Army or the Air Force, so that's what my kid's going to do. But you also run into those parents who, were active duty and didn't get the chance to go to college, but that's what they want for their son or daughter. So you're able to explain, how they could do both and how college is much easier in the National Guard.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So being able to enlist a lot of people means that you're doing a lot of prospecting. So what do you do on a daily and weekly basis to hold yourself accountable to do the prospecting that you need to do?
For me personally, I like to do a lot of prospecting early in the week. So Mondays, sometimes Sundays, those are big phone call days for me, so that I can, set appointments for a little later in the week, things like that. I try to set a lot of appointments for Tuesday, Wednesday in the week, so Thursday, Friday, I can kind of use as MEPS days, those kind of things. I also, this past year, have tried to make a point of, we go out to lunch, and it cost me a little extra money, but now, we have RIP money, all those things coming in. So, we try to go out to lunch as an office with some of my teammates, and just, hit a few places along the way. We might stop at a gas station or just, different places in addition to our schools and things like that, where we might run into people of the age group that we're looking for. You go through a Chick-fil-A drive-through or go into Chick-fil-A and sit down, whatever you can do just to kind of get a little bit of FaceTime with those people. We've tried to make those little efforts in getting out, especially, with COVID, it's kind of hard right now, but you can go through a Chick-fil-A drive-through and maybe at least meet two people that are in your age group and talk about the Guard a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you said it like that, because it's not a ton, but it's got to be some, and you always got to be creating some new business every day. So there are a lot of recruiters that do go out to eat, but they will go through the drive-through and not talk to anybody.
Right.
And making it a point to stop at places and going inside is an opportunity. Also, with the Sunday calling is a hallmark of high performing recruiters. Almost every Chiefs 54 winner and people that attend my high performing events will say, well, we do a few hours of phone calling on Sundays to front load that week, like you're talking about. So I really think that's a good takeaway for new recruiters and struggling recruiters is get ahead of the week. So, also sounds to me like you plan on processing people on Thursday and Friday, which is different than hope to process people Thursday and Friday.
Right.
Yeah. So in terms of interviewing and closing, what do you think is the most important part of the interview process and preparing to close and closing?
For the interview process, if I haven't found out via our phone conversation, what their exact interest in the National Guard is, do you want money for college, or do you just want to serve locally, or, whatever the case is, always try to find that out up front in the first few minutes of the interview, because I don't want to talk to an applicant about money for college if that's not something they're interested in. If they want to go to a trade school, then, I'm going to talk about how we can help pay for that trade school or that certification. So I want to make sure that I'm showing them how we can help them, not just blurting out everything the National Guard has to offer. So I always try to find out what their main interest is. And then we discuss that, like, here's your options with the National Guard. Here's how the National Guard can help you. And then, we kind of go from there. If they're still interested, then, we move on to next steps in the process. We start getting that packet built and, moving on to next steps in the process. Because I do think it's really essential to kind of move quickly, or as quickly as you can with things.
You must know my program, because
I have been through your class before when you came out to Colorado, not all that long ago. So definitely was able to pick a few things out of your class for sure.
Because that sense of urgency is very, very important. Because, young people are one decision away from being permanently disqualified.
Right.
So there might be a young recruiter or a new recruiter or a struggling recruiter out there that would say, well, really, how do you ask them to join? How do you ask them to become a member? What do you do?
I used to, when I was a younger recruiter, I used to kind of almost be very hesitant, just to come right out with that and say, like, are you ready to join the National Guard, or are you ready to move forward with this? Used to be very hesitant with it. And I found that over time, and then with, getting some advice from other recruiters I work with, that it just wasn't working. So now I'm very direct with it. Is this something you want to move forward with? Are you ready to join the National Guard? I'm very direct with it. And I look for that very, direct answer back. Like, yes, this is something I want to do, or, yes, I'm ready to move forward with this. Because I feel like if you don't get that solid confirmation, then those are the applicants that a lot of times you end up chasing. And I've done that in the past for sure. But generally those are the applicants that also you spend a lot of time on, and then they generally don't end up working out for you.
Yeah, I mean, rewind that if you're a young recruiter listening, is to ask them to join. The second best answer would be no, because then you don't have to do any more work. And if it's yes, then we got to get hustling. So I really appreciate that approach. It is the way to do business. So how do you think about processing? What's your approach to it, of how to make sure that applicants can successfully navigate maps?
So as far as for processing, we've run into a few hurdles this year with COVID. We lost our Met site here in Colorado Springs. MEPS for us is in Denver, not super far, but it's an hour ride. So that kind of changed things, where we used to be able to ASVAB people at the Met site. Normally, we would ASVAB them at the Met site, and then that same day we would talk jobs. Okay, here's my top 3 choices. All right, we're going to set dates to go to MEPS and do the physical and enlistment. We've had to change that a little bit this year. And we've definitely had some bumps in the roads with it, because now we're setting them up for full shots. We haven't done that before. Oh, they don't get the ASVAB score they need for, those kind of things. So we started relying on some other tools as far as, practice tests, the PICAT, different things like that, to kind of work around that kind of stuff. But as far as processing goes, we just try to get them through, an ASVAB, make sure that they have good ASVAB scores for whatever jobs we're sending them up for. And then, once we get them to MEPS, try to make sure we do a really good hot seat on them, making sure they're prepared to go to MEPS, they understand what's going to happen. And then, making sure that we're smart about the way that we project them for MEPS. So, if we're projecting them, but hey, we're not really sure, maybe they're going to come down on a consult because they're colorblind or something that about, then maybe we only project them for a physical. And then that way we're not, skewing our MEPS numbers because we projected a guy for enlistment that maybe we weren't so sure about. But we just try to prepare them, as much as we can with good hot seats and things like that.
Well, I like the test, physical, and list. I think a big problem in National Guard recruiting right now is not doing as much of that. And I would just throw out a nugget to you as far as having a mismatch in jobs is if you have a focus on membership in the Guard as opposed to a specific job. I know you have to pick some jobs.
Right.
But if they're sold on membership and they don't qualify for one of the jobs, then it's not even a thing.
Right.
If they get a lower ASVAB score or they're colorblind or something like that. But I really like the transitioning to test, physical, and list. And after COVID, I would still encourage that because processing is our number one priority. It's the only thing we do that takes one off the number for everybody. So I'm guessing you'll have a lot to say about this. What do you do to take care of people after they've enlisted?
So after they've enlisted, because I'm at RSP, I naturally see them that 1 week in a month. But then I still make it a point. We talk before every RSP drill. We talk after every RSP drill. So I can kind of get that one-on-one. Hey, make sure you're ready for RSP. And maybe it's as simple as like, hey, I don't have $5 to get a haircut this week. So, okay, well, we'll get you $5 to go get a haircut. Just really making them feel like they join this National Guard family and we're here to help you out and help take care of you. Or, hey, I don't have a sleeping bag or, a rucksack for drill. So we, loan those things out. And then just following up, hey, what is it that you really liked about drill this past weekend? Oh, we took an ACFT. So, okay, now things you need to work on. So we're going to work on these throughout the month. And just really kind of keeping in that constant contact with, your soldiers. Also, like visit units, even though, because I'm a part of RSP, I don't have a formal retention mission. But I do visit units. In the past, I'm a Pathfinder qualified soldier. So in the past, I've gone out and taught sling load classes at units and things just to kind of get that unit engagement. I also like seeing my previous RSP soldiers now at the units, and then, just kind of following up with them, and kind of maintaining that constant contact and giving them those little kudos, throughout their career when they make milestones. Hey, I remember when you were a private, now you're getting promoted to specialist, like congratulations. I think those small things mean a lot to young soldiers. Sometimes it's a lot of work, but I think it also pays huge dividends in the end.
Well, do you think, because you're a former Marine, drill sergeant, Pathfinder, got some scary badges on your uniform. Do you think that gives you a lot more credibility with both the unit and the brand new soldiers?
I think it does a little bit. I mean, every experience that you do in the military, you're always going to gain some type of knowledge, or, you gain a different type of experience from it. So it gives me a good background to be able to speak intelligently on certain things, courses that the National Guard offers, or things that you can do in the National Guard that a lot of people just don't know about. It gives me different opportunities and different ends to units. Hey, I can come help you with this because I have this skill set. So I think it's definitely been beneficial. And I'm a huge supporter of, if somebody's going to throw a school out there, offer me to go to a school, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
I'll gain some experience one way or the other. And at least, it might give me something to connect with people on.
Yeah, I would think it'd be also a measure of confidence on your part. Like you've over some challenging
Right.
courses, this recruiting thing is pretty tough, but you've done some tough things in the military. So,
Right.
what kind of a social media presence do you have? What do you do on social media to help you find more people to join?
I used to do nothing on social media. I'm getting up there. Turned 40 this past year, so social media wasn't a huge thing for me growing up, like it is, for kids nowadays. But one way that we've kind of tried to improve that, when COVID came out and it was kind of, you couldn't have as much face-to-face interaction, I actually got with our marketing team. Our marketing team here in Colorado is amazing. So I got with them and I was kind of, hey, what can I do? So they definitely gave us a lot of tips and, helped us set up Facebook pages and LinkedIn profiles. And, as much as you kind of wanted to do, they were helping us with to kind of get more of a social media presence. So now I have my own Facebook recruiting page, Sergeant First Class Ritchie. It's been awesome. So I can go on there. I have a lot of the RSP soldiers on there, different things like that. I can, friend their friends and, just talk about all the awesome things we're doing, give them kudos, those kind of things. And LinkedIn as well has been a really great way for me to get in touch with people at my schools. So my high schools who, weren't in person or on e-learning. So I can't reach them at the school's phone number. And sometimes, they wouldn't check email, but I can reach them via LinkedIn, send them a message and, say, hey, what can I do here? Or how can I, get the word out to the students? So those tools, I'm still learning a little bit, but they've been really awesome over this past year as far as getting in touch with people and just kind of generating new business.
Well, I think even though you say that you're late to the game a little bit, I think what you're laying out, I wish more recruiters were doing that, especially the LinkedIn, using that to connect with the professional educators. And we can learn a lot about people based on their LinkedIn profile. And I think the intel collection that is available on social media is almost more valuable than the direct connection with someone. You can learn about people, you can get more information, and it will really help you develop your area and expand your network. So That's a good takeaway for new recruiters, struggling recruiters. Everybody's got COVID, and everybody, everybody,
Right.
everybody needs to reach out to their schools in that way. So that's good stuff. So just overall, what would you say your secret sauce is that's been able to produce the success that you've had?
I think for me, it's just maintaining relationships. I try to make sure, I stop by even my old schools, just pop in. Hey, missed you guys, just wanted to say hi, and just really, really maintaining those relationships that you have with your soldiers, your previous enlistments, your COIs and VIPs in the area. Fort Carson is the home for the Army's World Class Athlete Program. We work with them. We go over and meet with the coaches. For some reason, they always need pens. So we go over, every now and then with a whole bunch of pens, and that's an easy way to make them happy. But then in turn, we get a lot of enlistments out of that. So just really maintaining those relationships and, representing the National Guard in a positive way, I think has been the thing that's helped me the most over the past couple of years.
Awesome. Awesome. I like that. And the last question I have for you is like, if you have any words of wisdom for someone that's struggling right now or is brand new to recruiting, is kind of discovering it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be.
I remember, like, this is my third year recruiting, so I definitely, remember the struggle. I'm not far removed from that. My first couple years definitely had their ups and downs and their bumps in the roads. I've gotten counseled for being behind mission before, and all those things. So, it's definitely not a sunshine and rainbow job. And there's definitely been times in the past where I've been really stressed out about recruiting. You get really stressed out about that number. And I know it's really hard to not be stressed out about that number. But I think the more stressed out you are about the number, it definitely shows. It shows to your applicants, it shows to the people that you're talking to. So one thing I've really tried to do over this past year is just focus more on, I'm here to help people. Hey, I'm here to enlist you into this awesome program of the National Guard. Like, if you don't love the National Guard, or at least like it a lot, then, maybe recruiting's not for you. Because I feel like that comes across, hey, these are all the awesome things the National has done for me, and I really love it. And I want to bring you into this awesome organization as well. So I try to focus more on, hey, who are people out in this community that we can help? We can bring you into the National Guard, and it's going to help your life too. So I try to focus more on that aspect and, not focus on the number. I know that that's hard to do, but I think that's definitely helped me. Like when I kind of let that number go and just focus on, hey, how can I find people that it's going to be a win-win relationship? They're going to be good for the National Guard, and we're going to be good for them. So I really try to focus on that.
Well, I think that is amazing advice. I really do. And I just like to highlight a few things that I think is incredible. First of all, is just focusing on what you can do and the people that, can benefit so great from this organization. I think that is great advice. The number is unavoidable. It's unavoidable. That is true. But focusing on who would benefit from all the things that we offer and getting to the mechanical processes of recruiting. I think that is a really big deal and great advice. I also think you do have to love the Guard. I 100% agree with that. You can't say, well, this is just something I'm doing right now. And,
Right.
Maybe something better will come along. Because this is a very unique organization, and I'm 50 years old. Everything that I own is because of my membership in the Guard. So I am very appreciative of what the National Guard has done for me. A couple college degrees and being able to raise a family from my membership in the Guard. So that's awesome. So I do think that, maybe a new or struggling recruiter could take your advice and just kind of take stock of really, the number will take care of itself if you do the work. And
Right.
if you really can appreciate what you have as a recruiter in the National Guard, these are really terrific jobs, and in most communities are in the top tier of wage earners. So I think that's awesome advice. And this has been a really great talk to someone that is fired up about doing this job, and maybe it's had a few bumps in the road in the past. I think that is like very instructive for new recruiters and struggling recruiters and recruiters that have been around for a while and maybe need to get re-energized. So I'm very appreciative that I've been able to spend this time together, and wish you the best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, get her done and repeat.
Will do.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.